there, welcome back. So we're going to do the Outpost phase, and we're not going to be starting a scenario with this video. But I want to wrap up the day. We did literally, the entire day was just one mission. And I do want to repeat, and I know some of you were already commenting on the first video of the scenario 65, which is what we just did. From my perspective, I felt like I made a lot of mistakes. I think the overall outcome would still have been the same. However, I forgot to do pushes. Somebody pointed out that the frost imps always put brittle on you, and the app does show that. It's just that the app, for example, this is the card that you draw, and then it says, okay, he's going to do 2 damage, and it's going to do this. Well, way over here on the right, it'll show that, Frost Imp always puts brittle, whether it's normal or elite. So the problem I have is I have to read what's on the right in addition to what's on the left, and I wasn't always doing that, so there are times I didn't apply brittle when I was supposed to. Now, some of you, I know, like to sit there and say, oh, well, that means you would have lost. No. It would have just played different. That's the key thing. I would have played different cards. I would have reacted differently. There's a lot of stuff that can be done differently. And arguably speaking, I may not have opened the door at the same time that I did, and I may not have been in bad of shape at the end. I mean, it's a lot of things can change when you just have one. But the key thing is I made mistakes. I did not do the push. I forgot to put in brittle a few times, and then I even forgot to draw the road event. So those are things that, mentally I'm like, yeah, I got to do better. The Outpost phase, the last one, had some mistakes on it, but I'm actually going to argue that the rulebook sucks, except for the part where you can't buy. That one's in neon lights. Anyways, let's go through the Outpost phase. So the first thing we do is passage of time. So that's simple. At least I hope it is. We just take our sheet of paper and we put an X right here. So we got another day gone. Next one. Next step is the Outpost event. So let me reach over and grab one of those. We are still in the summer, so it's going to be a summer event. I don't have my app because with all the playing, my batteries are near dead. So we're just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. Man walks through the open gates, Frosthaven, carrying a sturdy suitcase. He walks up to you with a broad smile. Hello, new in town. Terrible trip, really. Much too far, much too slow. You seem like exactly the sort of folk I was coming out here to see. So happy to make your acquaintances. He sets his bag down and stretches. You see, I've been working with some of the smartest quattrolls you've ever seen, and they came up with a railway system that would let us get goods and people in and out of Outpost like Frosthaven here, lickety-split. A small crowd had gathered. Now that's a big undertaking, obviously, but not with the brains of these quattrolls by your side. I expect this rail line to be up and running by next summer. I'm so confident, in fact, that I'm offering discounted tickets on the rails if you purchase them today. The ticket is guaranteed or your money back, but there's no guarantee there'll be enough tickets for everyone if you don't get them today. This sounds like a scam if there ever was one. So, do we purchase a ticket for the future rail line? Or, quattros or not, there's no way this guy will get a railway to Frosthaven. I'm going with B. Obviously, I'm always opportunistic, but he didn't, other than saying he partnered with some quattrolls, he didn't even have a name of one. This reads like your Nigerian uncle just died. And so we're going to do option B for better or worse. So let's see what happens. Okay, so A, we would have lost 10 gold. And we gain 1 morale. Otherwise, frustratingly, the price is too high. And we watch his sadness and we lose a morale. You shout down the slimy ticket salesman. It'd be impossible to build a railroad from Frosthaven to anywhere useful. The man rapidly packs up his suitcase and walks right back to the town gate. Some of your fellow citizens look disheartened. Perhaps what he was really selling was a hope of a brighter future. So no effect. Okay, it could have been worse. It could have been better. But no effect. And, for 10 gold to get 1 morale, I probably would have paid it. So, my bad there. And the card is out of the game whenever if it doesn't have that symbol. So, that goes out of the game, and we are done. Okay, so Outpost Phase event is done. That's a heck of a lot better than being attacked. Next up is building operations. So let's get out our buildings. These are the buildings we have. We get to do the sunshine effect. Collectively buy 1 wood for 2 gold. We will do that. The mining camp is not built, and if you missed it, during the last Outpost phase, I built 2 buildings without realizing that I lose 2 morale if I do that. So what I'm doing is this building is the one that's going to be built this round. So it's already paid for, but it doesn't technically get built until the end of this Outpost phase. So it doesn't exist at this point. We are full up on soldiers, and so really it's just about buying 1 wood for 2 gold. And we were going to go ahead and do that. And the drifter is going to pay the 2 gold, and that is done. So we got ourselves 1 more wood, and we are up to 4. Okay, that's all we could do. Sunshine event. That is over. Now we do downtime. And downtime has a lot of stuff in it. One of them is not to purchase items, so thank you to everybody who pointed that out. I did not catch that at all when I read the book. I just assumed that you always get to purchase items, and so, anyways, the last phase, of course, is construction, and that's when this would get produced. And we've already produced it and paid the resources and gained the results, but because, like I said, I misunderstood the rules. That is going to be happening. We're not going to change anything, but it won't technically be in effect until the end of this Outpost phase. So we're going to be fine. So this, technically, we have 3 prosperity boxes checked. We're really only at 2, but that's okay. As soon as we finish constructing that building, it'll be back to 3, and that's why we're not touching anything. And we technically have more resources, right? Because we paid for that building already, but that's okay too, because I have every intention of moving forward with that building, and so by the end of this Outpost phase, these will be all the buildings we'll have. Okay, so with that being said, we can do some potions, and we can also do, we're going to get to level up. So let's get both of those out of the way, and what else are we going to get to do? Oh, we could do some crafting. So, I believe the banner spear, can now ignore item effects. So maybe we can craft some armor for her and sell her leather armor. We could maybe do that. Somebody suggested that I paint these so they're easier to tell who's who. I'm not that talented. I did have for Ultra Quest these bases that have a color on the bottom, but these miniatures, the base of these miniatures is too round. Like the diameter is too long. Otherwise, it was a brilliant idea. I was going to put the bases on, and then you would at least know. I had a blue base for Blink Blade. I had a yellow base for the banner spear. But yeah, the base of the miniature itself is too much. I do like that. They got the symbol on the bottom. So can't quite do that. So okay, let's do things in some semblance of an order. I want to level up first, so let's do that. We're going to start with, well, first of all, Blink Blade does not level up. I think, let's do the math one more time. But he has 12 plus 10 is 22, plus 8 is 30, and then 8 more is 38. He needs 45, and there's nothing but sadness for him. So, nothing happens. The Inox Drifter, he's getting a ton of experience. What a great first character to have. This is 28, 38, and 6 is 44, 54, 58. Alright, so we're going to spend 45 points to level up. So we're now level 2, right? So technically the 1 box should have been checked. We're now level 2. So what did I say? It was 58 minus 45. So I'm going to cross everything out. And now we're left with 13. Alright. And so let's level up the Inox Drifter. Okay. A couple of things happen. The first thing that happens is we are going to get a perk. Like straight up one of these perks. It's not these checkboxes up here. We get a perk box. The second thing is I'm going to reevaluate our X's here. But those are always available for us to build our deck. But I get to grab these. There's 2 level 2 cards. I get to pick one and add it to my deck, and then the other one's out of the game forever. Well, not forever. The other one is just not chosen. Then when I go to level 3, I can choose one of these level 3 cards or the remaining level 2 card. That's sort of the way it works. And so yeah, you could always choose one of the other cards, but basically, yeah, whatever one you don't choose, assuming you're always going to grab a new card from the new level, is out of the game. So it's actually a heart-wrenching choice sometimes. So let's make sure I didn't miss anything, because I have been notorious for missing stuff here. So Outpost phase is page 59. And when we go to level up, let's see. If the character's level is lower than half the current prosperity, they level up during downtime without meeting experience requirements. After they level up, set their experience total to match the experience requirement of the new level. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to add our ability card. They must match their class and be of a level equal to or lower than their current level. When you reach level 2, you can add one of the 2 level 2 cards. Then when you reach level 3, you can either get one of the 2 level 3 or the other level 2. It's just like I explained. Our hit points are going to go up, but that's sort of going to be tracked by the app, but that is important. We're going to gain a perk mark, which means we're going to absolutely get a perk. And yeah, that's it. That's right, the prosperity goes up when you retire. That's the thing that was going on in the back of my mind. So we also get a perk. I mean, I do like all these other things. I always go through this, but we're going to still get rid of the negatives. So we're going to remove a -1 and add a +1. So going through his deck, we're going to get rid of a -1. And I got a nice little pool of red modifier cards, and then we're going to go through his bonus here and add a +1. So very happy with that. And let me grab a sleeve. Okay, so I will add that to his combat deck. Alright, that was the perk for leveling up. And now we get to look at the cards. So for example, these are the X cards, which, as you know, I never took one of his X cards because I never really cared for them. This one is a Pierce 2, which is actually maybe worth taking. Before applying any of their bonuses, move the character token on one of your persistent ability slots forward 1 to get 2 range. But I don't necessarily want the 2 range, right? I would want a melee attack. I'm actually heavily considering adding this to the mix. But the bottom one is a burn, which is part of the reason why I think I haven't added him yet. This one is a heal. Maybe I would want to add that to the mix, but the bottom is a burn. So that's part of my issue, right? And then this one was a burn and a burn. But holy cow, 3 damage attack against all those targets is really nice. So I may consider adding these, but that's not what we're doing during level up. That's for when I go into the next mission. So let's quit beating around the bush, Jeff. Let's just grab the 2 level 2 cards and let's see what we got. On your next 6 melee attacks, targeting an adjacent enemy, an enemy adjacent to any other enemy, one enemy adjacent to the target suffers 2. So what this is saying is if I attack one enemy and somebody's next to him, the person next to him will suffer 2, and then this thing will move forward. It's an interesting one. It definitely adds to the holy cow, I got too many things moving up dilemma. And then we have a move 3, shield 1, which could be helpful, right? Because I can move him into a fray. And what I really like about it is the low number. However, we have 2 damage, range 3, and then basically regenerate on self. Or I'm going to heal 3 targets, 3 spaces around me. So it's a nice heal card. Alright, before I choose which one, I always look at the deck of cards I'm currently playing with. Because the cardinal thing about Gloomhaven or Frosthaven, and this is, I mean, those of you who know the game, this is not going to be surprising or new. You are restricted to 12 card hand limit. You can't go above that, even after you level up. And by the way, I am going to move up to 12 hit points, which that part's nice. So you can only have a hand limit of 12. So what's going to happen here is after I select one of these level 2 cards, these are all level 1 cards, and there's exactly 12 of them. So one of these has to leave my deck in order to make room for one of those. And normally you would say, well, hey, that should be no big deal whatsoever. But it's a big decision. And so let's look at, I have done the retaliate one several times. And moving 2 tokens backwards is nice. So I'm going to keep that one. This one is a straight up 2 damage attack. I never actually see it because I'm always using this for the bonus move. This is a must keep. This one, not as good. I rarely do that. I use it for the move and the low number, and then it does let me move a token back, but there's conditions on it. So it's a candidate. This one lets me move a token back if I do a range attack. As you know, I haven't been a big fan of range attacks. It's another candidate. This one, we've been trying to do 5 damage to kill an enemy. It's just a really high damage attack. So that's a keeper. This one, heal. Now it's a 14, which also makes it good. Now you might argue, which one's better? So if I take this card is very similar, so maybe I can replace this card straight up 1 for 1. So instead of healing somebody for 2, I'm healing 3 people for 1. It may work, but the problem is I'm exchanging a 14 for a 67, and when you heal, it's usually I gotta heal right away because I'm trying to save somebody. So always bear that in mind, that this is a really crappy heal. But otherwise, this card is not very effective. But it is the only heal card he really has. So if I'm going to add another heal to my deck, that would be a straight, like this would be an upgrade in every way except for the number. All right, so I'm gonna just leave it in consideration. Range attacks. As you know, I'm not a big fan of the range attacks, and then it only adds a +1. And then here, it's a move 2 and move consistent back. I actually think I want to get rid of this one. So I'm going to put that one down as that's stronger than all these. This one, as you know, I don't do that, but the heal self is nice. I'm keeping it. This one's weak. It does have a nice loot, which I have used from time to time. This is awesome, except I don't like the burn. This is a very strong. Like, these ones were under consideration, but these 2 are even stronger. Next 6 melee attacks, I use this like it's nothing. All the time. This one, I would say is weak, but the move 4 is nice. With the bonus movement, you know, I don't necessarily need the move 4. So, this is a candidate. I do like the lower number. And then this one lets you move 2 tokens. I don't use the bottom either. I really don't. Well, I could use the top, but this is a card that I could easily replace. So I have 3 of them there that are up for replacement. So now the question becomes, which one do I want? This one is very situational, which means that I won't be able to move this up all the time, But when I can move it up, it may be nice, because I'm attacking one person and I hit the one next to him too. And this is suffers, meaning that shields and everything, it goes right through the shields. This could be powerful. It could. But the enemies have to be next to each other. It's a nice low number, which means that I will be able to make the drifter go earlier. The drifter always tends to go late. This is pedestrian, but you do get to move and you get a shield with your move. That's not bad. So I would say between the two, this one feels superior. I just don't know if I like the idea of another burn card. Now, the heal is awesome. Both sides. So I like this card. I don't hate it at all. I just like this one more. And I think it's because I want to be able to have lower numbers. So I'm going to choose this one. And I'm a little sad, but that is what I'm going to do. So the other one goes back into the pile. And then of the three, which one am I going to get rid of? Well, I'm going to get rid of the one that's most like it. So this one has a bunch of tokens on it. And I would rather use this one with the tokens on it than this one. However, the move 2 is nice. Moving something backwards is usable. These are all high numbers. This one lets me move stuff backwards. I'm actually going to get rid of this one. Just because I never like to burn cards until the end. I did use this, actually, to some decent effect against the final boss of this last mission. This I have used before as well, but this is probably my most useless card, and if there's one that I'm going to burn first when I rest, it would be this one. So this one goes out. I can always bring it back into my deck. It's not like permanently gone, but in terms of like building my deck, this one is no longer going to be in my built deck. So right now I have 3 X cards that I don't build into my deck either, and so now I have 4 cards that are not being built in my deck. It's these 4. Now, I am actually going to take this one with the Pierce 2. And I'm going to replace it with... I think I'm going to replace this one. Although I don't like the bottom. So... I do like the number 31 though. And look, I do have a heal that's up here. And then I got a move, attack, move, but it's a burn card. So there are other heal options that I can add to my deck. And then of course this is just insanity, but yeah, for now I'll make that decision when I join a mission, but I am very tempted to add a Pierce 2. I think a Pierce 2 would be a really good add for this type of character. And then these two are replaceable. The only reason I hesitate is this lets me move a token backwards, this lets me move tokens backwards, and if I get rid of all my cards that let me move tokens backwards, I am going to get myself in trouble. But anyways, there's you go. There's 4 cards that don't make it into my deck, but they could. On any given mission, I can always swap them out, and there we go. Now I got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 card deck, and one of them is level 2 now. And I made this statement when I first started recording this series, and somebody really passionately disagreed with me, but I think they misunderstood me. When you rank up to level 2, those new cards aren't what make you more powerful. That new card we just added isn't that much better than the card it replaced. It truly is not. I just think it creates a neat situation. That's it. And when you use it, it could be powerful. Okay? This is not what makes the Drifter more powerful. What makes the Drifter more powerful at level 2 was that. Removing the -1 and adding a +1 instead. That makes the Drifter more powerful. Plus the 2 extra hit points. Okay? And I know somebody like really passionately disagreed. And I tried to explain, exactly what I'm saying. I don't know of a different way to explain it. But when I say powerful, I mean like the character can kill the enemy and just be stronger. That's what I meant by more powerful. Anyways, that's it. So let's move on. We got the Banner Spear. 13, 26, 38, 48, 50. Right? 50 minus 45, that's a lot easier math. We got 5 experience left over. Okay, she levels up. She gets a perk. We took the ignore -1 item effects, and now we're going to replace the -1 card with a whatever that card is. So let's go into her deck now. This is like Christmas. I like this. It's one of the reasons I love these games. It's not just a bunch of missions. Alright, so one of those is already gone. And of course she has a whole bunch more. And let's grab. So the card she's going to replace it with, I think, is this one. So that's a shield, and it's a roller. So it's a +0. It adds a shield, to herself, meaning that if somebody attacks her, she gets to reduce the damage. And it's a roller, so then she gets to take the next card. I'm pretty sure that's the one. And yeah, so we add this now to her deck. So very cool. A +0 is always an upgrade to a -1, but this one makes the statistics even weirder because it's a +0 that's a roller. So the overall probabilities do change. The rollers do make it a little more interesting. Okay, so her level up is complete. Now let's grab her cards, because this is the part I'm more interested in. And I just want to let, and I apologize, I'm going to get your name remembered before this is said and done. There's a viewer who has been very diligent at commenting on spots where I could have maybe calculated focus a little more accurately and things of that nature. And he commented on the mastery, which I then understood is actually a lot harder than I originally thought. And it sounds like there's not an official decision on this, and there are ambiguities in terms of how people understand this. But at the very least, there seems to be agreement that you need to have an area of effect that can hit 3 enemies at once. And then you have to do it 3 different times. So the whole reason I bring this up is I can't even hit 3 enemies with that one. Or that one. Or that one. Like, I don't even have an area of effect that hits 3 enemies. So that's the problem. So now we're going to grab our cards. And we have... Oh, I took an X card. So this was also a possibility, but there's no 3 enemies there. Right here is one way where you can hit 3 enemies. So the person has to be behind you, an ally, and then you can hit, the 3 that you're up against. So this is a really difficult thing to set up. But if I hit 3 enemies like this, and then I did it 3 times, I would get my mastery. Attack at least 3 enemies with each of 3 different. So this is just one area effect. So you do start the game, it's an X card, but you do start the game with the ability to hit 3 enemies. So I'd have to find a way to put that in my deck. And then there's also this one here that can hit 3 enemies, and then you have to stand side by side there. So to get my mastery, technically I have 2 cards that if I add these cards back into my deck, I got 2 cards that would have helped me to get my mastery. So I'm just going to set those aside because these cards are already unlocked. They're already available to me. Now here's the next one. These are the 2 cards we're unlocking. The first one is Meat Grinder, which is a lot like the pincer. So you're on one side of 2 enemies, and they're on the other side. And then you hit both of these enemies for 4 damage, and you wound them both. That is a very powerful attack. Now, this is a really bizarre lineup, but the attack itself could just be against one guy. So this is an upgrade to the pincer. The pincer, by the way, does 5 damage. So technically, if you're only going against one enemy, the pincers does more damage. The bottom is move 3, and then you can heal somebody one space away and give them regenerate. It's an excellent card. A little high here, but again, it's an excellent card. So let's consider that. This one is a 2 damage range attack. If I consume wind, it's going to add another range and immobilize, and you add +1 attack for each ally that's adjacent to the target. It's a low number, and then 3 allies within range 4 get to move 2 spaces. So here's the kicker here. There's a couple of things that just triggered in my head. The first one is, well, this one. Grant 2 allies within range 2. This is grant 3 allies within range 4. So this is a superior grant ally move card. But the other one I'm thinking of is this one. This one is a 2 damage melee attack that becomes 3 with advantage if you consume wind. This one is a 2 damage range attack that has an extra range with the wind. You see the difference? And then it gets +1 to all the allies that are adjacent to the target. This one gives disadvantage. I use this a lot. I don't necessarily use the bottom part a lot. The bottom of this is so much more effective. So in terms of one-to-one replacement, you would think that anything that uses wind, like this it also uses wind, like you'd use this to upgrade that. The problem is when I read the top half, this is a better card, if you ask me. Now the bottom, not so much. That makes this card more powerful, but I don't know if it's enough that I care. I don't really look at her as a range attack person, and so I'm putting this back down. I'm just telling you that this card gave me the feels of that one. Now the meat grinder one is to me a lot more interesting. I hate the fact that I'm going to have to come up with another setup, but with that said, I could always use it just for the basic attack, which is what's the case with all of these. So I think I want to keep my deflecting maneuver, so I'm going to set that aside. I think between these two, I would rather take this one, although range 4 is really nice because that allows me to move those skeletons forward. That allows me to move that banner, right? There's something to be said about that. So now we got to see, okay, if I took this card, what would I replace with that? That's a harder choice. This is a similar one to the bottom half of this. The problem with the bottom half of this is every time I move, I'm now too far away to move anybody else. That seems to be the thing that always seems to happen. But this top part is similar, right? That's the reason why I'm showing this card. This is like an upgrade to that one. So in a lot of ways, this whole card is upgrading this whole card. Except the 32 now becomes a 62. I don't disagree. So then the question becomes, do I want the move and the heal? To be quite honest, I think this is more useful than that. This is a good candidate for replacement. It's just that if I only have one enemy, this is like the easiest one to set up of all the pattern stuff. This one is a card that I use it for the low number and then for a movement, but beyond that, it's not that great of a card. The tip of the spear can be helpful. This one I struggle with. Every time I summon this guy, he dies right away. As much as I keep telling myself I want to use this card, he stinks. But he has a nice way to get experience points. I don't know. Like, I'm sort of feeling like, you know what, this is a good candidate to replace. The Javelin is a great card. This one. I see he's an X. So I'm actually going to get rid of this one. I'm putting him back in the pool. And I'm going to bring back I'm going to bring back the unbreakable wall. Just because if I can make that happen, that's towards my mastery. But you know what? I need 3 of them, so why would I do that? This one disarms them, and it brings back the banner of strength. I think I'm going to like that more than the torchbearer. I know, I'm starting to build my deck instead of just picking my card. Okay, so I got my banners. We're not going to replace the banners. This one grants 2 allies within range 3 a move of 3. Grant 3 allies within a range 4 a move of 2. The top is used a lot. The bottom of this is similar to the top. See, what stinks is, like, I have a lot of cards that have similarities to these. And we're back to the beginning. So out of all these cards, this is the one I'm willing to get rid of. And actually, I'm okay with it, because even though I summon this reinforcement, he has done nothing for me. I do get to control his movement, but he never stays alive. So I would rather just use the other people in the game. So then it becomes, which one of these do I want? My answer is I don't know. And the problem is whichever one I choose is a big choice, because I'm probably not going to choose the other one ever again. One thing I will tell you, 4 damage and a wound against 2 targets, if I could ever set this up, would be glorious. Moving 3 and healing somebody with regenerate is never an awful thing. And not only that, but I get to move and heal. So I can move and just heal myself if I need to. So that's good. I'm attracted to this because this is finally a good range to move other people. And if I can move them, for example, I can get them moved so they can start doing these formations for me, which allows me to do my other cards better. That's the key thing. Wow. Alright, I gotta pause because I'm wasting too much time on the video here. Okay, I don't know if I'm making the right choice here, but I'm going to choose the meat grinder. And, you know, do I really need both of these? And I guess my answer is yeah, especially since I didn't choose... Like, the thing that was attractive about this card was this part. The ability to move my allies. And something tells me, like, if I really want to get serious about doing this banner thing and keeping it within 3 spaces of me the entire scenario, I need cards like this. This card does not help me to accomplish any of those mastery goals. The only thing it does is it just gives me a nice 4 damage attack if I could ever get that type of pincer set up. And you know, do I need both? I'm still stuck. I just paused and I said, you know what, I'm taking this card, and now I'm talking myself out of it again. My issue is if I take this card, then I don't need this one. And maybe I'm too hung up on the wind thing. Like, maybe I can have 2 cards that both use wind. And who cares, right? Because the getting disadvantage is nice. Alright, I am going to take this card, and I can always add this back to my hand. It's not like it leaves my hand forever. The real permanent decision is, am I taking this one or that one? And I can't believe I'm saying it, because I do like the idea of a move and heal. I feel like this card over here is too much like this one. And I don't ever see myself creating this scenario as much as I think. So okay, I'm going to take this and add it to my deck. And I don't even have to take out the deflecting maneuver because I have the at all costs, but I think I'm going to add the at all costs back because the ally I think is going to be helpful. And so yes, I have 4 cards here that are out because I added one of those cards back in. Oh, which one was it? Oh, the banner one. And I will make up my decision. Like, anytime I build my deck for a mission, I can decide which of these 4 are truly going to be out. But yeah, that's my dilemma, right? As I constantly have to manage that. So yes, I'm spending an awful long time on my level ups here. Alright, that one's done. Last person, Bone Shaper. 24, 36, 46, and 8 is 54. So I'm going to cross everything out and has 9 left over. So level 2 for Pennywise. Forgot to put level 2 for Black Sonia. And yeah, Blink Blade, unfortunately, is still level 1. So we're going to have 3 characters at level 2, 1 at level 1. I don't know what level the enemies are going to be at. I'd have to sit down and think of it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be level 2. I think 3 is enough to change it. Okay, so Bone Shaper. We're going to take the one that gives us lightning. That one was not a deep thought situation. So there's a -1 out. Always glorious to do. And then we grab I'm just grabbing a sleeve. There we go. So, pretty looking card. It's going to curse the enemy, and of course it's a +0. So we'll add that, and that's going to be great because when the summons do it, they'll curse the enemy and still do their damage instead of getting a -1. Always good. Alright, now we got to go through her cards, which hopefully won't be as troublesome, but we'll find out. Okay, so just to recap, her hand size is 12, and of course we've had these cards we've been using for her. There are certain cards of hers we haven't been bringing in. So like for example, this one lets me kill the summon. But see, it's a burn card, so I've never... I can take one of my summons, do 4 damage against all enemies adjacent to them. So it's almost like making them, like it's a corpse explosion. And then the designated summon gets killed, and I gain an experience point. And when the next enemy dies this round, all allies and enemies adjacent to the hex in which it died, so the enemy would explode. It's an interesting card. I never took it. And it's actually called Exploding Corpse. Yeah, exactly. The Approach Oblivion is you heal, damage yourself, curse yourself. I didn't like this at all. And then this one of your summons gets +1 attack. It's not a burn, which is a little enticing. Next 3 sources of damage to one of your summons negates the damage. It's not a bad card. I think it's just a matter of what would I replace it with. Okay, here's what we're going to get. I'm either... Oh gosh, they're going to make me make choices. I am going to get a 4 damage attack along with a curse and add 1 more damage for each of my summons, and it's a burn. Now, with the way I've been playing, my Bone Shaper is always in the rear with the gear. I very rarely am close enough to do a melee attack to anybody, especially with it being a burn at the end of the game. So as much as I love this, that is the biggest drawback. If you're going to play where your summons are your strength, this is not adding to my strength, although +1 for each of your summons does add to my strength. Now the bottom piece, I can curse range 2 and then consume the darkness to add 2 more range. So I can curse basically 4 range away, but I'm cursing just 1 time. If the target dies this round, immediately play a card from your discard pile to perform a summon action of that card. So I curse somebody, and then if that target dies this round, I basically get to summon something for free if it's in my discard pile. It's a neat card. I don't like it. So I think I'm going to have an easier choice with this one. This one is a 6 health Raging Corpse that does 3 damage. Holy shizballs, why would I not like this one? It is a burn, so it's like the Wraith, where you only get to summon it once, but I love it. Grant one of your summons poison against all enemies. I mean, even if I don't summon this guy, this is awesome too. It's a really high number, but I am totally taking this one. Now, what do I replace it with? I mean, that's a deck building question. I'm thinking this one, because as much as I love this one, with it being burn, I never play it. I do love the move 4, though. So I'll set that aside. Do I need the Wraith? You know, I like the bottom half of it. The 3 skeletons I actually use. The heal an ally, heal self. Yeah, we do that. We definitely do that one. This one I like to use. This one I don't care for, because that requires me to be within melee range. And that one I don't care for. Although the move 3 I guess is sort of nice. I actually don't care for this one either. Although this is at least not a burn card. I very rarely play this one. I rarely like this one too. I'm going to go ahead and... Like, this card's not gone forever. I'm just taking it out of my deck. So, yeah, I'm just taking this one out. So it's just going to be added to all those other cards I don't use. And that's fine. So I'm going to just go ahead and take those out. And so here's her new deck of 12. Alright, and then we got that squared away. Alright, all the level ups are complete. The crafting, as you can see, we can make a healing potion with one of those and one of those. I did not find one of those, so we can make a stamina potion. There is room for one more, so I will go ahead and grab one of those. That one is nice. This is the one for the... I no longer get the -1. So if I wore this armor, the next 2 attacks give disadvantage. That's the part where... Remember, I always have that card where I play that gives disadvantage. Maybe I don't need it as much if I play this one. So I'm going to try to maybe build that. What else? During your move, add +1. Loot and adjacent hex. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. Okay. So, the herbs and spices. We have those exact herbs by the Inox. And we also have them with Blink Blade. So I'm going to use the Blink Blade herbs to get that potion. Now, apparently, those of you that were correcting me on the rules last time, you have to give the herbs to the town and then use the town resources to make the potion. So when you make the potion, it's not who had the herbs, it could go to anybody you want. So I can give it to the Banner Blade, I can give it to the Blink Blade, Banner Spear, I mean. The Drifter already has one. I don't know actually who I should give it to, but the healing potion is with the Bone Shaper. So I'm going to give the Stamina Potion to We're going to give it to Banner Spear. And then the crude hide armor. So I have this leather armor I paid 15 for. I'm only going to get half of that back, which I think is 8 because I think you get to round up. I would love to give this to another character, but I don't think I'm allowed to. And we just already established that once I sell this, I can't buy this with another character. Because Blinkblade would do awesome with the leather armor. That would be perfect for him. But it's not in the cards. So if I get this, I mean, this is better than that in every way. Except for the -1, but remember I get to ignore that -1. So that's the whole reason why I'm considering this. So I am going to do it. I'm going to take the 8 coins, and I'm going to spend 2 hide. And then, of course, what you have to do is you have to put a token on here to move along there. And she finally has some money. She only had 2 money prior to this. Now she's got 10, it looks like. Okay. So she has her token here. So we're going to use one of those to mark the armor. Alright, getting back to brass tacks. I have to pay for that now with 2 hide. So I'm looking, the Drifter has 1. The Banner Spear has 1. And then Blinkblade has 3. So I'm going to go ahead and spend it with the Banner Spear and the Drifter. Alright, so we are done there. We made a potion. That's done. Can I make a new type of potion? That's a good question. Let me grab our little potion chart. My answer initially is I don't think I can. So, for example, we have one of these. We don't have any of these 3 resources, and I don't think I have 2 anymore, because we just spent 1 to get the other healing potion. So if I spent 2 of those, that does unlock a different type of potion. I'm checking. We have 1 of those, and then we also have the leaf. So just to put this back in front, so I can, with the leaf that made the stamina potion. Oh, did I forget to cross it out? Or no, I did. I can make another stamina potion. It's just there's no more left to make. I only have 2 cards. So that's all I have, is I just have those 2 resources for the stamina. Alright, I just, basically made this outpost phase last as long as humanly possible, haven't I? But this is the stuff I enjoy. I like the, when you play ISS Vanguard, I like the ship phase too. But there we go. We just did downtime. We leveled up. We crafted. We laughed. We cried. I think that ends our outpost phase. And don't forget, the metal mining, or the mining pit, is now officially built. And so that is officially complete. So that brings us to the end. And then all I have to do is pick my next scenario. So I'm going to do that between videos here. I honestly don't know which next scenario I'm going to pick. I need to sit down and think about that and just do a little peeking at like what kind of rewards am I looking at, things like that. I'm beginning to not like Blinkblade as much. I mean, who doesn't like somebody named Rapture? But with that said, it is a complex character according to the game, and it is, and there's a lot going on with the character, which I understand is why it's complex. But I don't know, I just I feel a connection to the other 3 that I don't feel with that one, in terms of like enjoying the mechanics. I don't enjoy the fast versus slow as much, but maybe because I'm not enjoying the fact that he's not leveling up as well. Um, so with that said, I might just pick the mission that helps him retire quicker. We'll see. I need to think about it. Um, and then what I'll do is I, of course, have to put all these pieces away and get all the new pieces out. And so I will do that in between videos. This is my last one for the day. I truly have been working on this particular playthrough at least 8 hours today. So that was a full-time job. That was the funnest full-time job I've had in a long time. So thanks for watching, even with all my errors and mistakes. Thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.